Hey, Shibi family, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball, your home of pure rugby league. Hope you guys well. Thank you again for tuning in. Right, it's another episode of Locked On Warriors, episode 4, and again with special guests. And again, thank you again for your time, Brad. How have you been? What's been happening, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Busy week. As I said before we went on the show, I'm currently in the process of moving houses. But yeah, just looking forward to the chat tonight and getting into the NRL season.
Yeah, look, for sure. I think there's been a lot of hype as well. I'm not sure if you're one to watch NR 360, but things are definitely going on there. And I suppose outside as well. I'm excited. You're excited. We're all excited here for rugby league. But also saying that, guys, feel free to chip in your comments and all that stuff there, and we'll get to them as well. So again, in saying that, hello and welcome. Now, random match of the day. 2005, 17th of April, in Energy Australia Stadium. Newcastle, sorry, that was not Auckland, Newcastle, apologies there. Round 6 versus Newcastle Knights. Warriors won 30 points to 26. Try scorers was Votuve scoring 2, Byrne, Falmoina, Melly, as well as Tupi, and I believe Stacey Jones got 3 conversions in as well. Brad, by any chance, do you remember this game?
Not really. No. That would have been around the time I started getting my season ticket, so I would have been right in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all a blur back then. It's a long time ago now.
Yeah. I was about about 13, 12 years old during that time. Over in Glenfield there, but very, very interesting. But obviously against the Knights, who we're playing this week, and we'll definitely get into it. But before we do, we have the SG Ball. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch. I don't even know if it was televised. Was it televised, Brett?
I still didn't see it televised over here, but it was, I think, their first game in New Zealand too, if I'm correct, out at Pukekohe. So it was good turnout, 34-24 win for them. So they're still undefeated. I've seen highlights on Facebook of like the tries and stuff, and there's some exciting players in there. And with the news they had last week about the extra teams they're bringing in, hopefully a lot of those players will stick around.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely a big fan of the SG Ball, particularly because, it sort of gives us a bit of an early window into the future, if you will, of the New Zealand Warriors. I'll tell you one player I'm a fan of. I'm not even sure if you will know who he is, but it's that number 10 prop for the SG Ball, the Warriors. He's at number 10 prop. He's a big, strong-looking lad. I forgot his name, though, unfortunately. But I just think he's such a terrific player, and he's one for us for the future. I'm not sure if you know his name.
I don't know his name. I do recall the guy you're talking about, though, from what I've seen in the brief glimpses. And, yeah, the more talented props they can get, the better, because that is something that the team is struggling with in terms of depth, in my opinion. And, yeah, I always love a prop, so...
Look, and saying that though, good signs there for the Warriors. Obviously, SG Ball Warriors winning there against the Dragons. Now, Brad, you know what time it is. I know what time it is. It is Team List Tuesday. And for those of you there as well, I'm going to be adding the Warriors, and I hope this really goes well. I really do, and if it doesn't, well, the way it goes. But we've got the screen list here. Give me 2 seconds. Can you see that, Brad?
Yep.
Cool. So, Brad, we've got the team list here. Do you just want to give me a bit of a rundown of your thoughts on the squad, and I'll also chip in as well?
Yeah, so yesterday I published my season preview, and I picked who I would have as my round 1 team, and the team's almost the same, but Adam Pompey wasn't in there. I had Valia in the centres, and the only other changes were Curran was in for Ford. Ford was on the bench, and I switched Barnett and Tohu around.
Yeah.
That was the only difference I had. But everything bar the Pompey stuff, I'm happy with what they've done. Sure Pompey's a great guy. I just don't rate him as a centre. I think he's a better winger than centre. And yeah, if he's partnering up with Montoya, I think we can guarantee Montoya is going to be a bit quiet because Pompey doesn't pass. And that's kind of something I like to see the centers do. But I think it's a decent squad for a first hit out. But yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, my thoughts, I suppose, look, Adam Pompey, again, in terms of just analysing him as a player on the field, nothing personal. On the field, I'm not his biggest fan. On a continuous basis, I'm really surprised that he was picked, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. However, in saying that, this year here, Pompey could turn it up, right? He could turn up, he could spice things up. And again, I'm sorry there, guys, if it's blocking our view and stuff like that. But this could possibly be a year where he sort of turns things around. We'll have to wait and see. I will say, though, I'm very eager to see how Te Martin and Sean Johnson play as well. Whether you like it or not, I think there's a lot of expectation maybe on Sean Johnson to really lift his game here against the Knights. I'm really not surprised, but I'm glad that Jackson Ford has the second row position, but at the same time as well, over Josh Curran. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think he's done more than enough to deserve a spot in the 17. Maybe it's just due. They think Curran will benefit more coming off the bench potentially. I'm not a coach, so I don't want to sit there and tell Webster what to do. But maybe he sees Ford as a better starter to a game than coming on later on. Or it could just be Ford's had 2 preseason games. Curran only had the one, giving him a bit more time before they start starting him. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to make excuses for why he's on the bench. But at least he's in the 17. Yes. I think he's going to be hopefully continue how he started last year.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Are you a bit confused as to why Bailea wasn't picked ahead of Pompey?
Yeah, I'm not sure if he got a niggle and he's been put at 18th man just in case he's not right, and if he is right, he gets brought in. It's all pure speculation on my part.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything. It's always hard to take. We see the trials, but we don't see the day in, day out performances at training. So it could just be that Pompey might be delivering more on the trading paddock.
Yeah.
It could be that simple. It's really hard to tell.
Okay. And just quickly as well, what are your thoughts on Mitchell Barnett? Obviously against his old club here, the Knights. It's a debut for the Warriors. What are your thoughts on him at prop? Is that good? Is that bad? Being mindful as well that I believe the Saipiti brothers are lining up against them as well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he'll be ready for this one. I'm sure he had this already marked on the calendar when he signed his first game against his old club. I think he's serviceable in the front row, but the reason I switched him and Tohu in my team was I feel Tohu delivers more up front than Barnett did in the trial that we saw, and I think Barnett would probably be better in the second row compared to Harris. In mine, I actually had Curran as my lock as well. That was in my team because I think he plays better at lock as well. But I feel like you're going to see them chopping and changing all over the place when interchanges come. I feel like Barnett's probably a guy that will get longer minutes, so he might go back into the second row when they bring another prop on. It's an interesting forward pack. There's basically everyone's a jigsaw that can go in any place they want.
Yeah. Okay. Look, first and foremost as well, thank you again, guys, for being here and commenting as well. Also, just quickly, please follow Brad, Ingers League Wrap Up as well. He's on Facebook. He's on YouTube. He's on Instagram and on Twitter as well. Again, please, he delivers nice, good, fresh, cool, clean content as well. And again, an avid Warrior supporter. But look, just going back to what you're saying as well. I still think we'll fin for props, in my honest opinion. This doesn't elevate my confidence at all. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about the game. We'll leave that for the next sort of subject. But I don't know. I just feel like we're definitely running low on stock, in my own opinion. As to how Mitch Barnett will pan out, hopefully good. And also on the other side of the coin, just quickly as well, we have the Knights team as well, as you can see there. I won't have them up here too long, but you've got the likes of the Saititi twins, Jaden Bradley, Kalen Ponga playing as well, which is very interesting. Dominic Young, things are a little bit testy there with him at the moment, right? So I'm surprised he's playing. What are your thoughts on the squad here?
It's actually a lot better team than I thought it was going to be. When I saw it announced today, I was a bit more worried than I was going into the game. But the Safidi brothers, Ponga at 6 is going to be interesting if it works. They tried it a few times already, and I don't think he really hit the ground running. But he's got Jackson Hastings there with him, so if there's any halfback out there that can make him look good, it's probably going to be Hastings. And that forward pack is stacked. I already said the Safidi brothers, but Fitzgibbon, Frizzell, and Mann, it's just there's a lot of good players there, and they've got Adam Elliott coming off the bench. Jack Hetherington, we probably don't have to worry about. He'll get sin-binned early on when he jumps on, but it's a good team.
You know what? You're right. And I don't like saying that, but I think you actually are. When I sort of analyzed that night squad, I won't lie to you, I didn't really analyze it until that very moment there when I'm like looking at the team list. This is actually a pretty decent forward pack.
Yeah.
And
I didn't even mention Bradman Best either.
No, you didn't. No. And he's lining up against Pompey, I believe.
Yeah. I think so. The Warriors always mess around with their numbers, but I think that is going to be it'll be Pompey and Best.
Yeah. Look. It's obviously it's going to be Hastings Ponga, right? Versus Sean Johnson, Tamari Martin. Up front, who should win that battle, or who wins it? You can be as unbiased or as neutral as you want in this context. What are your thoughts on this, Brad? Because I am a little bit nervous right now.
I think the Safidi brothers will have the edge, to be honest. I love Adden. I think Adden is better than both of them, in my personal opinion. But I think it's that Barnett factor. Barnett's a great player, but he's not a front rower. So you got a good second rower playing front row against two really good front rowers. So on paper, they should have the edge. The Knights, but yeah, it's going to be hard. I feel like the playing in Wellington and playing in New Zealand will give a little bit of an edge to the Warriors overall. But yeah, I think battle of the forwards, I think the Knights have the edge there.
And with the halves as well, that Ponga as well as Jackson Hastings versus Tamari Martin and Sean Johnson battle. How do you think that's going to pan out, in your opinion?
It's a bit of a mirror. It depends which Ponga turns up, and it depends which Johnson turns up. Yeah, I feel like Hastings and Tamari Martin, you know what you're going to get. But yeah, it's all going to be on those two X Factor, I guess you could say, X Factor halves. Yeah. So I'll give it to Sean there. I know Sean, there was a decent interview with him that came out today about how he still believes he's got a lot to give and he's in the right mindset. So I'm hoping that little blip that we talked about last week is now gone and we see a better Sean out of it. So I'll edge on the Warriors on that side. Ponga, he's too flighty and injury prone. So yeah, I'll give Johnson the edge.
Yeah, look, I know the article you're talking about regarding Sean Johnson, and look, we've heard it before. Yeah, we really have, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I remember last year when he's talking about coming back and leading the boys and giving this and that and this and that, and unfortunately, the results and what he wanted and what was delivered were way different things, and I get what you mean. I really hope for Sean Johnson's case, and I know a lot of people are big fans of Sean Johnson, and some of them, when you talk about Sean Johnson, they get very defensive, don't talk about him and stuff. And hey, look, my opinion may differ from yours, but I consider him the greatest SJ to play for the Warriors, in my own opinion. Others will say otherwise, and that's okay. I hold Sean Johnson in high regard. But at the same time as well, I'm also calling a spade at the same time. And I don't mean this disrespectfully again, but I really am hoping that Sean Johnson turns up. I really am, because I don't know how much of this I can take. How many games of Sean Johnson can you handle if it's not going well before you say, all right, please, thank you, Sean Johnson, I'm done. Next player. How long is it for you? What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be as long as Metcalf's injured. I feel like Webster, if it's not going well with Sean, I don't think Webster's going to bring Volkman in.
Yeah.
But if Metcalf was fit and healthy, I think that's what you'd see. I think if it wasn't working, it would be a straight switch. So, but I think also defending Sean in a way where I think this is the first time in Sean's career where there is actually someone that can take his place. Because even last year, when he wasn't doing well, there was no one to replace him because they were either injured or they weren't ready. But now you do know, Volkman will do serviceable job. Metcalf kind of looks ready to go. So he's got to play well to keep his spot, which is a position he's never been in. So that could make the difference. We might see him actually pull his finger out and, improve. But that's still, it's early before the season hasn't started yet. So that Warriors optimism still very, very high with me right now.
Yeah, look, I understand. I just really hope for Sean Johnson's sake, really, that he does deliver. He needs to, and in all honesty, I'm looking for no excuses against the Knights. If he's coming in, saying what he's saying, preaching that preach, that walk, sorry, then he's got to walk it. He's got to walk it. Another player we haven't touched on as well, surprisingly, is Charles Nicole Klukstad, and he starts at fullback. We know the Warriors have been blessed in recent years with very X-factory, if you will, fullbacks. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, more recently, Reese Walsh. Anyway, the point is, Charles Nicole Klukstad now gets his opportunity to make his mark, make a stand. What are you looking for from him in this game in particular, Brad? And yeah, even add more if you need to or want to.
Just accuracy out the back, very sound defensively, talking to the boys to make sure that they're plugging in any holes that he sees in the defensive line. It's more the defense in the attack. He can score points when he wants to. We've seen it at the Raiders, seen it with the Kiwis. But the biggest thing is the defense. That's where the Warriors lacked last year with Reese. So as long as he can be defensively sound and do what he needs to do with the ball in hand, he's not a playmaking fullback, so we're not going to see a lot of that. You'll just, when he gets the ball deep in the Warriors half, he's just got to get out of there as quickly as possible. And that's all I'm really looking for. I'm not looking for anything, highlight reel worthy out of him. Just getting the basics that he's paid to do right, and let those high earners in the back line do what they're meant to do.
But bit of a different question here. Luke Metcalf, hypothetically, down the line, he's back, he's fit, he's ready to go. However, hypothetically, again, the fullback and the half and Sean Johnson have been playing too well. Where would you slot Metcalf? Would you slot him at the fullback position where he naturally plays? Or would you slot him in the half where, to be fair with you, regardless of it being a Tigers team, he still showed a bit of a glimpse of promise? Where would you slot in a healthy Metcalf?
So is that if Sean's playing well? Or
no, that's if Sean and Chance are not playing at their best.
Both not playing well.
Yeah.
I would bring Metcalf into the halves, and if Chance isn't playing well, I'd let Tane come in as well.
Okay.
In that situation, yeah. If they're both not performing, that's what I would do. I think Metcalf is a better fullback right now, but he was signed with the vision of being a future half for this club. So
yes,
the more time he can get in the middle, in the halves, the better.
Yeah, I agree. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be now looking here. The Warriors versus Knights prediction. So obviously you guys have heard myself and Brad have a bit of a yarn. Now we're going to sort of predict where things sort of fall into place here for the Warriors. So obviously we know it's the Warriors. It's round one. It's over then Wellington in the Cape Town. It's a big occasion. Again, it's the New Zealand Warriors back at home where we bloody belong, and it's about time. There's a lot of anticipation. There's a lot of hype. We've been seeing the videos from Andrew Webster, Andrew McFadden as well, around the team, Cameron George, Mark Robinson. Everyone has been chipping in saying we're going to do something big. If not big, at least move forward in some form or capacity. Now, the talk is done. We're done with the talking. There's no more videos. We don't care about the videos, the hypes, the who's tired, who's not tired, this, that. It's all happening now against the Knights. Now, you've just seen the squads here for both these teams. And I'll tell you what, I'm actually very surprised when I looked at it, just how good the Knights forward pack is. I'm not going to lie to you. That sort of took me off guard, low key. Brad, give me your thoughts on this game, your predictions. Over to you.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I do have the Warriors winning. Solely, I know I just said the forwards of the Knights are better. They've got dangerous backs, but I've got it all on being on home soil, wanting to start the season right. I feel like it's going to work out. And I think I did read a stat somewhere. The Knights have only won like 2 of their last 14 games in New Zealand or something as well. So they generally don't like coming here. So yeah, I'm going to give them a slight edge. I see you got comments giving point predictions. If I had to pick one, I would say like maybe 24-12 or something along that range, like winning by a try or two. Not like a big blowout or anything like that.
No, okay. That's fair. I agree with you. Look, the fact that this game is tough for us, or looks like it's tough for us, I think is a compliment, or maybe not even a compliment, really, or maybe it is a compliment to the Knights. But is it worrying signs for the Warriors, though? Can I just ask that? Like early in the season against a Knights team that looks like they're in disarray, players wanting out, players wanting in, blah blah blah. Is it worrying that that this looks challenging right now? Like I said, I'm actually really surprised.
It's not a worry for me because it's kind of where I see the Warriors, or where I think the Warriors will finish on the ladder. I expect there to be a few teams where you look at them and go, "Oh, that's going to be tough." I've had it. I think I put it in my preview yesterday. For some reason, since the end of last year, I've just seen 10th as where I see the Warriors. I have no rhyme or reason for that number. It's just the number that kept coming to me. So, if you're looking at that 10th to like 13, 14 area, that's, I feel like where the Knights will probably be as well. So they should be around the same or tough.
Okay. Yep. No. Well said. Look, my prediction for this, I believe it's at home. The Warriors win this game. I reckon they win by at least 6 to 10 points. I do seeing it being a tough game though. However, disclaimer: I won't be surprised if the Warriors open it up a bit and they run away with it. I think possibly. Not too sure, how that sort of happens or why I'm saying that, but I just think for mine it could possibly go that way. Granted, Warriors to win though, in my opinion. Just last little bit here on the Knights before we get into some hard-hitting questions. Knights' strengths and weaknesses in the squad in particular. What are your thoughts?
Forward pack is a massive strength. Jackson Hastings is a seasoned half that, it didn't go well for him at the Tigers, but you can say that he was probably one of their better performers when they had him out there. And I feel like he's going to bring some grit to the Knights. In terms of weakness, Lachlan Miller is a really good talent, but he's inexperienced, and getting thrown in at fullback could be something that teams could use to exploit. Dominic Young, depending on where his mind's at after doing his signing so early, we have seen some players fall off the cliff when they do a year out signing. So that could be one too. And that's pretty much it. I'm really impressed with their side right now. So yeah, I'd say targeting inexperienced players in the back line is probably the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Now we're going into the hard-hitting cues, right? Hard-hitting questions. This is where we look to, I suppose, I just, we just look into the question, see what happens, see what our thoughts are. Yeah, see what happens. All right. A win is a win, but a good win makes a good statement or a statement. Is a good win a must in this case here?
Being one-eyed Warriors fan, no, a win's a win right now. You want to get those 2 points. Obviously, a good win shows that there is something. There could be something building, but you just got to get points on the board at the start of the season. So as long as it's not a super ugly win, I think the Warriors' first win last year against the Tigers, where both teams didn't want to win that game, no one left that game happy. So I think that's probably the worst kind of win, but you still get those 2 points. So I'd say a win's a win in my eyes in the stage of the season.
I definitely hear you. And of course, I agree with you, definitely. However, I think to play devil's advocate, if the Warriors want to try and make a statement, particularly what Andrew Webster is saying in regards to, what is it? Just to paraphrase him, he's talking about every year they want to win it. They want to play to win, basically. For lack of. And for me, look, if the Warriors just win against a very, what many consider a weak Knights squad in terms of when you compare them to the Roosters, to the Panthers, if you will. If the Warriors just win, granted it's a win, but for me it's still worrying. It is. I mean, I probably shouldn't think that way, but like you said, though, I mean, it does level up what you're saying, though, in the sense that both these teams are probably very level with each other in terms of finishing and where they'll probably end up. However, I just think it's at home too. It's at home. It's in Wellington. This is the first time we've played a round one opener at home since, I don't know when, but I reckon a few years, obviously. I don't know. The other end of the coin.
No.
And I know it's a big one, and I know I probably shouldn't ask this, but if we lose, is it season over? So no. You think no for yourself?
No, It is. The first 10 rounds are brutal. So a loss here is not going to be very handy because you could potentially be looking at a 6-7 week losing streak with how the draw is, which is not, that could technically say your season's over, but from mid to the end of the year, their draw gets a lot, I'm not going to say easier, but it's a lot softer than some others are out there. So if they can, nab a couple of wins in the first 2 months, they could still be in contention. But yeah, that first 10 is going to be a real tough test for them.
That first 10, the first 10 rounds, bar version of Knights twice is almost, it's hell. It's actually hell for a team like the Warriors.
Yeah, I think I did a show with Ruin Hammer last year when they were looking at the draw, and I think that first 10 rounds I put the Warriors at 2-8, and the 2 wins were the Knights games. So yeah, if they lose to the Knights, I shudder to think what could happen.
Yeah, that's why I think for me personally, if we lose, I mean, look, obviously the Warriors aren't. It's not like we're aiming to be in the top 8 realistically. Let's sort of be honest here. I don't think we're realistically going to be in the top 8. That's just my opinion. I don't see us competing for a premiership this year. So when I say is it season over, I mean in terms of finishing bottom 4. That's literally what I mean. If we finish bottom 4, that is backwards. That's not great. That's not forward. I don't care if we finish 15th, third to last. I don't really care. To me, that's still going nowhere. That's virtually plateaued. That's a plateau to me. Yeah. And so when I say season over, I don't mean like in terms of our dreams are over. No. Okay, let's be upfront. There's no dreams for this year. Maybe in the next couple of years, absolutely. So when I say is it season over, yeah, look, if we lose some Knights, in my opinion, I don't see how on earth we can get out that bottom 4 quicksand, in my opinion. If we can't beat the Knights at home, in Wellington. And just quickly as well, you mentioned the draw as well. So just to give you guys a bit of context here. So the first game is against the Knights. The second game is against the Roosters. Third game is against the Cowboys. Fourth game is against the Bulldogs. Fifth game is against the Sharks. And then your sixth game against the Knights. Seventh game against the Cowboys. Eighth game against the Storm. Ninth game against the Roosters. And hey, why not? 10th game against the Penrith Panthers.
Yeah.
Okay. Like Brad touched on before, if we lose this game, it is going to be very scary. Because the other side as well, we could probably, dare I even say it, be, what is it? 1-9? I don't know.
You
9-1?
You could even be 0-10.
Oh, no. Nah.
You know, that's looking at it very pessimistically. But there are games in there like that.
Bulldogs?
Bulldogs. I predicted losing to Bulldogs just on the roster, but we don't know how that roster is going to go. And what Jacko said, finishing bottom four is totally unacceptable. I see them avoiding the bottom four because I kind of got Dragons, Dolphins, Titans, and I'd normally say Tigers, but the Tigers do actually look all right this year. But I feel like there's at least 4 teams worse in terms of this building stage. But it's like you said, getting like one position above on the ladder than you were last year isn't improving. It's the same.
No, that's right.
So it needs to be, I'm not coming out with a pitchfork if they're not in the top 4, but if they're if they finish between 10th and like 12th kind of area, that is showing improvement. It's not the finished product, but it's in the right direction. But it's tough because they've done a lot to try to improve, but every other team has as well.
Yeah,
it's the nature of the beast. So it's just about what Webster can do to get his cattle going in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. And in saying that too on Webster, I definitely I trust. I've got trust in Webby. With all things said, granted, I have trust in Webby. How important is it playing in Wellington? Your own perspective on this, Brad.
I do like seeing the games going around the country. I think it's important. I still think having as many games as you can at Mount Smart is key to keeping the people that pay the money for memberships happy. But there was the reason it's in Wellington at the time it is because there's a concert at Mount Smart. So that's why they've done that one. But I like seeing it go around to other parts of the country because we've got to think long term here. They've talked about developing all these players, having these 5 other teams. Auckland's got a lot of great talent, but you want to get the Warrior brand further around the country to try to get those young kids to want to pick league instead of union.
Yeah.
That's always the battle. Forget talking about the Roosters stealing every player on the planet. It's the All Blacks and Super Rugby that steal a lot of the talent. So you want to get them in front of as many people as you can. So taking it to Wellington. That's why I was pushing hard for all those teams that said they wanted to show their gratitude to the Warriors. I was hoping that their games, they would bring more than just the Tigers and take them to your Christchurches, your Dunedins, other places, because the Warriors can do it, but they've done it with 2 games this year. But the more games they take away from Auckland is probably the less money they're going to make on memberships because you'd have to decrease your membership cost if there's less games at Mount Smart. So you got to make money and you got to spread the game. So big ups to the Tigers for being the only team that wanted to do it. Of all the teams out there, that are struggling, you think they would be trying to get as much games at home as they can, but they're the only team that bothered. So huge ups to them. But it's great to see it go around the country. It just cost me money. Sorry. But I love seeing it.
Yeah, look, I will say, and again, thank you for that. I will say that I'm actually very disappointed in those teams who, like you said, they're all, everyone was all, thanking the Warriors and, congratulating them and all that stuff. And then when push came to shove, only the Tigers showed up. And I was actually really disappointed. I really am genuinely disappointed in those other clubs. I get it. Everybody, every year you want to win a premiership. You want to have your games at home, blah, blah, blah. But just sacrificing one game, one game.
Yeah,
it's disappointing. And if you're a fan there of your club, if you're a fan of a club besides the Tigers, all I'm going to say is that it sucked. It sucked, and it wasn't on. And for all the stuff the Warriors did just to get that back in return, it's actually quite rubbish. Anyway, in saying that, Brad has no idea about this questionnaire. We're going to throw it anyway.
Okay.
Here we go. Where would you place the second NZ NRL team, and why?
We've had this on our show before,
and
I'm always flipping a coin between Wellington and Christchurch. Wellington, just because Wellington's a city in New Zealand where the public go. They if there's an event on, they all go, which is obviously something you want with your NRL team. If you're starting one up, you want to get crowds. But I liked the Christchurch idea because then you could get that rivalry. Like we've got NRL, you've got rivalries everywhere, but you could have a North Island versus South Island rivalry in the NRL. Where you've got like the Auckland team versus Christchurch. Auckland Christchurch is always a rivalry in all sports. So from that point of view, I like that one. And I think there's it's cold in Christchurch, which would be a negative. So it would probably, I think business wise, they would lean towards Wellington. Just in terms, the NRL want to make money out of it, so they would go with that option.
I've also thrown this idea as well, and tell me your thoughts on it. Instead of it being specifically, location specific in Christchurch, how about a team that sort of represents the South Island? Would that be logical? Could that work? I don't know. For example, South Island. I don't know what are you going to call it? South Island Glaciers or South Island whatever you want to call it, Juggernauts. Would that also be like another option, or do you reckon no? Probably couldn't work.
I think it could. It's just, I suppose you want stability in having a one location area. But I think it's a good idea because it still creates that rivalry, just like the South Island Tanifas or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty good.
But yeah, it's it would be good. I still think New Zealand's a long way away from getting another team, from the NRL point of view. But yeah, I think South Island I think would be better. They could even, I know it's cold, but Dunedin is another one because it's got a stadium with a roof. So things like that. But I think there's other places the NRL will go to first.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think so too. Look, also in saying that as well, obviously it is round one commencing in a few days, and with that being said, we're also going to have or give away our little NRL quick tips. Brad, if you don't mind, do you have any thoughts on any of the tips coming up? So I think the first game is Eels and Storm. What are your thoughts? Who wins?
I'm going with Storm. It's hard. Eels were good last year, but I every time I pick them, I got it wrong. So I'll keep with my trend and I'll go against them and go with Storm.
No worries. Obviously, we already spoke about the Warriors and Knights. Panthers and Broncos.
Panthers. Panthers will be hurting after losing to St. Helens.
Look, it's funny for me because I almost think like that loss against St. Helens revealed a bit of a weakness, and I know the Broncos haven't versed a team like St. Helens. Again, not disrespectful, but there was a lot on the line there in that game there. But I just feel like for me, the Broncos will be up and ready for this. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Panthers for sure, but I just feel like Broncos will be prepared for this game. Manly and Bulldogs.
I'm going with Manly because Turbo's back.
He is too.
So Yeah, and Seagulls, for some reason during COVID, Seagulls became like a foster team for me that I really didn't like them. And then they were winning me over when they were going on that run. I think it was 2020, or it might have been 2021. They just went on that run and it looked like they could go all the way. And it wasn't to be. But yeah, I really want to see Turbo have a good year. So I'll go with them. And yeah. The Bulldogs, I'm still not convinced on. They've got a great team, but I don't know if it's going to gel just yet.
That run wasn't the one that the Warriors ignited, was it?
It was, yes.
Well, there you go, Bailey. You are welcome. Cowboys and Raiders.
Cowboys. I feel like the Raiders, I think I predicted in our prediction show last week, the Raiders are the only team I see in last year's top 8 to not make it. So I feel like they're going to slide. So I'll go with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to build from the surprising year they had last year.
Okay. I'm in agreement with you anyway. Cowboys for me. Sharks and Rabbitohs. This should be a very good game.
I'm going with Rabbitohs. I was going to go Sharks, but Nico's out. So I'll go with Rabbits. I think the Sharks are very dangerous, but if you take Nico out of that component, I feel like they're nowhere near as strong as what they should be. So, yeah, Rabbitohs are still building towards they got to win a premiership at some point. So
yeah. Well, you can definitely feel the momentum heading that way, right? Look and saying that Rabbitohs for me, the HTB guarantee is that the Rabbitohs beat the Sharks. All right, that's the one there. Next game is the debut of the 17th team, right? The 4th team from Queensland, the Dolphins, and they're up against the Roosters. Also on top of that, do you think, who do you tip to win? And then also on top of that, by how much?
I think the Dolphins will surprise and it'll be close, but I think the Rabbits, I think will get the job. The Roosters are just a dangerous team. I know Joey Manu's out. But yeah, it has to be a win for them. The Dolphins, I think, just a hodgepodge team right now. So yeah, but I think they'll surprise. I think they're going to have some grit that Wayne Bennett likes to put into his teams. So I think they'll take the Roosters a lot closer to the limit than a lot of people probably expect. But yeah, I'm still edging on the Roosters there.
Okay. And last but not least, we've got the West Tigers against the Titans. And I think this game here might be surprising. And just quickly, I've got the Roosters to win. I won't be surprised they win by 40-plus points, in my opinion. So West Tigers against the Titans here. This is a very interesting game. Who do you think wins? Who do you think wins?
I'm going with Tigers. I think the Tigers, they've got some very good players come in. I think Api Carousel is really going to change the direction of that team. I'm still not sold on their halves, but I think the Titans haven't brought anyone in that's going to improve them, and they haven't really got rid of anyone that will make them better either. So I feel like the Titans are still going to stay the same as they were last year. So Tigers, Tigers at home, got to give them the win. It'd be good to see. I was really backing them a lot last year when they were struggling. So hopefully a nice win for them to start their year off.
And they've also got a very decent forward pack, to be fair with you, you know.
Yeah.
Otoi Kamanu, right? Papali'i, Twal. They look very menacing, in my own opinion there. But I look, in saying that, that's there for that segment there. Now we're on to the last segment. Who am I? All right, here we go. All right, so I was born on the 12th of the 3rd, 1978. I played 101 games for the Warriors between 1999 and 2005. And the positions I played were hooker, second row, lock. In 2007, I made my boxing debut. Who am I?
Monty Beetham?
Correct. Yeah. Oh, that was a bit easy. That was a bit easy.
Easier than last week's one, but I got last week's one far too quick, so I've set myself up to fail.
I want to get you on time, believe you me. Look, in saying that, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the show. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. Episode 4. Stay tuned for episode 5 next week. I've got a special guest there. So it's all a surprise. We'll see what happens. But in saying that, Brad, again, thank you. Any last words? And any last words before we sort of go?
No, just thanks for having me on again. It's great to have footy almost back. Really looking forward to the game in Wellington. I'm going to it. And just, can't wait to actually get to talk about footy games as opposed to just speculating. So, really looking forward to it. And, cheers everyone for watching. And my show's on tomorrow night. If you want to go watch it, it's on Facebook. Just look for Ingers League Wrap Up and join me and my mate Richie there.
Awesome. And I thank you again, Brad, for your time. I mean that. Thank you again. And look, I'm looking forward to this week. It's a big one. And granted as well, following the Warriors and the Knights, please follow me for a post-game live reaction where I get you guys to jump in and give me your thoughts. This is going to be pretty scary, not going to lie, because I know what's happening. But I've got some modders there who got my back, and they're going to be doing a lot of modding as well there. Thank you, courtesy of our Warriors and our Fanatics. But look, in saying that again, thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. You as well, take it easy. And just remember, Brad knows how to hold the ball. Thank you again. See you guys.
See you guys.